Our, our global marketing team, I'm really focused on aligning our platform's power with real partner and customer needs and driving data-driven solutions that enhance growth and efficiency. I'm also currently pursuing my MBA at MIT Sloan School of Management, focused on innovation and entrepreneurship. So basically, I love building, especially building at the intersection of security, scale, and creative customer storytelling. So I'm really happy to be here today and grateful that all of you have joined us from around the globe. So like Maggie and Smith and all of those before me have mentioned, cyber risk isn't just an IT problem anymore. It's a boardroom issue. 85% of breaches still involve human error, and the average breach now costs companies over $4 million. That's not just tech downtime, that's lost revenue, lost trust, long-term brand damage. And when something goes wrong, it impacts every part of the business, as you guys know. That's why we need to measure risk, not just in technical terms, but in business terms. We have a poll question as well, which I hope will be put up while we're going through the presentation. So when you have a second, go ahead and answer. When we talk about cyber attacks, the first thing that comes to mind is usually stolen data or maybe a ransomware payment. But the reality is the costs run much deeper. Let's break down what happens financially when a breach occurs. We bucket costs into two categories, essentially, direct costs and indirect. And on the surface, yes, there are direct hits like data loss and ransom demands and regulatory fines, but under the surface, the indirect costs can be even more damaging. So operational downtime halts your business, your brand takes a hit, and in many cases, customers leave. And put yourself in your customer's shoes. Would you stick around after hearing your personal data might have been stolen? So yeah, on paper, breach might cost 4 to 5 million, but in reality, the long-term loss in revenue and reputation can be far higher. That's why it's not enough to just react to attacks. We need to understand their true end-to-end financial, their business impact. And this slide is where I'm going to take you from gut feelings to actual numbers. Did you know that risk isn't just a buzzword? It's a formula. And this is the formula I want you to remember. Cyber risk equals threat times vulnerability times impact. And let's take a mid-sized financial firm as an example. So there's a 30% chance of a ransomware attack this year on a mid-sized financial firm based on industry-wide threat data. Their vulnerability posture is high. Let's say, for example, 60% exposure due to patch delays or misconfigurations. And the potential impact, around $3 million, considering downtime, legal fees, customer loss. So when we plug that into the formula I gave you above, 0.3 times 0.6 times $3 million, that's 540K. That means just from one type of attack, this company has an expected loss of over $500,000 annually. That is how we quantify what used to be hypothetical. And it's funny that the second you put a dollar figure in front of people, risk suddenly feels like something you can budget for, monitor for, and talk about. People want to listen. So let's turn that formula I just gave you into established metrics. Cyber risk quantification, or CRQ, lets us run different models depending on what data you have access to. So first up, single loss expectancy, or SLE. This tells us how much one incident would cost. So if an asset is worth $2 million, so that's your customer database. Let's say that's worth $2 million. And think of 70% of it could be impacted in one attack. So your SLE is $2 million times 0.7, so that's the 70%, and that equals 1.4 million. Now, where does that 70% come from? It's not random. This is called the exposure factor, and it reflects how much of the asset we would expect to be compromised if an attack succeeds. In this case, if a database isn't segmented or encrypted, or access controls are weak, 70% exposure is a conservative but realistic estimate based on typical ransomware or exfiltration attacks. Now we consider annualized rate of occurrence, so ARO. If this type of attack, the one I just mentioned, happens once every 5 years, our ARO, so 1 over 5 is 0.2. I hope you're still with me. And don't worry, the difficult math is almost over. So if I multiply now my SLE times the ARO, so the 1.4 million times the zero point 0.2 I just talked about, I get the ALE, the annualized loss expectancy. So this means that even if the breach happens once in 5 years, it costs 280K annually in expected loss. So if I look at now the entire impact together, I want you to take a look at this last slide again, where we looked at our mid-sized financial firm. Our total impact dollar amount was $3 million, right? And the generalized actuarial modeling used by cyber insurers, frameworks like FAIR, right? They've told us that, like I mentioned here, there's a 30% chance of a $3 million loss. So that's that threat factor, the threat exposure factor of 30%. This matches our ransomware scenario I just showed you in the last slide. That gives us an ELV, or an expected loss value of $900,000. So now, with these numbers in hand, you're no longer guessing, you're budgeting, you're strategizing, you're speaking the board's language. And I want to assure you that these aren't just academic models. Yes, I'm doing my MBA and taking finance classes, but these numbers aren't here to scare you. These are real simple ways to turn cyber risk into a language that your CFO understands the value of. Again, this isn't about fear, it's about putting a number on risk so leadership can make informed decisions. That's the power of CRQ. So now I'm going to show you one of the best and most comprehensive comparisons our incredible research team, using the power of AI, has also put together on pricing. And we've talked about the cost of doing nothing. Let's shift to the value of doing something really smart. And this comparison lays it out very clearly. So on the left in this table, we have Seceon's all-in-one open threat management platform. Everyone before me has talked about how great it is, all of our different products, the functionality of those products. In the middle column, you're seeing that, which specific modules they're included in. And then on the right, a typical best-of-breed stack that most companies are using, piecing together Splunk, CrowdStrike, Cortex, everyone you can potentially name. So if you total up licensing and staffing for an 1,000 user org, so I want you to make an assumption that the organization size is 1,000 users. So if you total up licensing and staffing at that org, the Seceon model comes in at around 500K per year, potentially even less. The alternative stack, over $1 million annually. And this isn't just about cost, though. I don't want you to just look at this and think it's all about cost. I'm going to show you it's not just about cost in the next few slides, but it's also about complexity. With Seceon, like Smith and Chandra and everyone else mentioned, you have a unified platform, one interface, one engine, built-in AI-driven triage, fewer analysts needed. With a fragmented stack, you're managing alerts across multiple systems, duplicating effort, burning out your SOC. So the bottom line here is that with Seceon, you're not just reducing spend. You're increasing efficiency, cutting alert fatigue, and accelerating your time to response, which directly protects your bottom line. So now let's put that value into numbers. Let's say your organization is facing an expected annual loss of 750K. Based on the risk exposure modules we just went through, it's the mid-sized financial firm again. And then after deploying Seceon with their AI SIM, AI SOAR, AI XDR, all working in sync, we've reduced that exposure by 80%, bringing it down to 150K. That's 600K in risk reduction. Now compare that to the total cost of the platform, 500K in that last slide I just showed you, including software, staffing, operations. That gives you a 20% ROI in year one when you factor in intangible benefits like less downtime, stronger audit posture, enhanced brand trust. The real return is even higher than that 20%. So when a CISO goes into the board asking for investment, this is the math that justifies the budget. You're not just securing the company, you're protecting the business. But let's be honest here. I want you to be equipped with all possible scenarios. Being a CISO is hard, and the average enterprise has 50 plus security tools. They all generate alerts. They don't always talk to each other, and they leave you with silos. Meanwhile, different teams, IT, GRC, everyone's reporting risk differently. You're stuck trying to reconcile dashboards instead of driving strategy, doing the work that you should be. And when the board asks, how secure are we? You don't need to show them, hey, look, these are more alerts. You need a clear financial translation of risk into business language. And that's the gaps that the CISOs are facing. But it's exactly what we've built Seceon to solve. Like I mentioned, outcome-driven security, metric-driven security now is the future. And Seceon changes the game by aligning operations with outcomes. With our open threat management platform, you get a unified AI SIM, SOAR, EDR, NDR, UBA, all in one system, like Smith, Chandra, everyone before me mentioned. It detects threats in real time, correlates signals across your environment, automatically responds, reducing manual triage, and most importantly, it ties those actions to business value. It shows how much risk you've averted, where you've improved compliance, how much time and cost you're saving. So now, when your board asks, what did our cybersecurity program do for us this quarter? You have an answer. And now I'm showing you maybe another one of the most comprehensive slides we've made thus far that helps our platform user, you, understand which specific metrics, which specific KPIs can be found where, in which module in our platform. And we're going to actually posting out a comprehensive data sheet that has all of this information on our social media, on our website, on our support portal. So don't worry if you don't have this. It will be posted very, very soon. But from the detection and response angle, MTTR, MTTD, you got those in AI SIM and AI XDR. To risk and reduction metrics and risk score trends, you got those in Security Score 360. Governance and compliance, compliance scores, audit pass rates. Again, Security Score 360, BI 360, they give you those KPIs through reporting. Financial, and then looking at financial impact, SOC automation and savings. You see those in AI SOAR. This is a comprehensive platform with 7 to 8 modules, products essentially, that are tracking virtually every single KPI that you can think of. This is where you can go into the boardroom, flip the screen around to your board when they ask you that question. I mentioned earlier, what is this program doing for us? This is what you show them. This is your proof of performance. All right, I'm going to end with this. Here's the bottom line. You can't protect what you can't measure, and you can't justify what you can't quantify. Cyber risk quantification and ROI modeling aren't just buzzwords. They're your best defense in the boardroom. They turn security from a technical conversation into a business critical one. And that's exactly what Seceon is built for, a platform that unifies your tools, translate your risk into business language, and helps you lead with confidence. And this is how you essentially shift the narrative from chasing alerts to proving real value with those dollar amounts and with those KPIs and metrics. So if you remember just one thing from this session today, let it be this. Don't just talk about threats, start leading with the business impact, and don't just defend your network. It's really important that you're defending your bottom line. And you can do all of that with cyber risk quantification and with Seceon's OTM platform. Thank you. If you have any questions, reach out to your account managers, our customer success team, reach out to me for marketing and partnerships. We're always here to support you. And thank you again, everyone, for your time. Stay tuned over the next 3 days for more helpful sessions like this one. And as a reminder, like everyone said, these sessions are recorded and the certification test will be done on the last day.